The assassins have already been dispatched. He just doesn't know it yet. The most powerful beings in this world do not fall easily. They are falling anyway. This is Divine Emperor of Death. Chapters 50 through 60. On the way outside, Davis saw two black-robed silhouettes. He gazed at them as he walked past them. The two black-robed characters minded their own business as they walked past him. However, it looked like they couldn't feel his presence as he perfectly hid without moving a muscle. Assassins. They look considerably strong too. What are they here for? Davis contemplated for a moment before deciding to check it out later. He went outside to complete the mission and come back as soon as possible before the night ended. He quickly went outside the red light district and asked a random person on the street for directions. That random person was seemingly disgusted that an old man asked him about the slums. Hence, he quickly yet condescendingly told the way to get rid of the old man as soon as possible. After arriving at the slums, he tipped a random battered kid on the street side for information. That kid who received a silver coin happily told Davis the whereabouts of Grimes. The slums existed even in the illustrious royal capital, mostly used as a base for underground operations that couldn't see the light of the day. The buildings were run down and dilapidated like no one cared for them in years. Mostly thieves and criminals existed there. Commoners who had lost hope also lived their lives in utter waste as they existed here. After knowing where Grimes lived, he headed in a certain direction by jumping over the dilapidated buildings. Finally, I got to enjoy the thrill of running above the rooftops. Davis was feeling satisfied. He suddenly stopped on top of a certain building. From there, through a window, he could see a bald, naked man asleep with a naked young girl lying over his shoulders. The young girl kept sobbing and looked as if the bald man had violated her. Teesh, guess I should have come a little sooner. Davis clicked his tongue in anger and disgust, feeling pity. But he didn't know that even if he arrived sooner, it wouldn't have made a difference since this matter had taken place hours ago. Shut your yapping, a bitch! Grimes suddenly woke up and kicked her aside. Ah! The young girl was sent flying, hitting the door as she cried miserably. Boss, has anything happened? A sound came from behind the door. Nothing. What the hell are you doing here? Didn't I tell you to scram away when I am enjoying my women? Grimes roared angrily. Why? Yes, boss. Grimes seemed like he didn't want anyone to interfere with his hobby of violating women, so he pretty much made them stand guard at the entrance of the building. But these underlings of him always come to peek at what he is doing, which more or less ruins his mood. Hee, don't try to act innocent, bitch. The young girl glared at Grimes with hate as he came closer to her. Let's start round two, shall we? Grimes was getting turned on by her glaring eyes. I hope you die a gruesome death. The young girl spat out coldly. This is exactly what I want. That hate! I couldn't get enough of Grimes roared and was about to jump on her when a flash of light passed by him. Poochie exclamation. Grimes's eyes went wide-eyed as he glared at the young girl who had her eyes widened in shock. In that hateful eyes shone a crimson reflection. Grimes looked down only to see blood flowing down in copious amounts down his body. He touched his neck only to feel that his throat had been slit as he collapsed. Davis held a crude dagger in his hand, which he found in this room. He undid his concealment once he killed him. Here, take it and survive out there, Davis said as he placed a sack containing 100 gold coins on the floor and covered her with an ordinary black robe taken from his spatial ring. Seeing that the young girl didn't reply to him, he shook his head and left. After some time, the young girl came out from her reverie and kept muttering two words while sobbing. Thank you. Davis was on his way back to the Dark Earth Organization branch. He felt quite disgusted by Grimes, so he even killed his underlings, who were equally degenerated as him. His crude dagger sported a hole in every one of their heads, and within a range, no one dared to see what was happening as he chased and killed them. In truth, he just wanted that young girl to live without being chased by this gang, so he downright killed everyone in the building. As he reached that underground cellar, he saw that black-robed man again. I've completed the mission, a calm voice echoed out in the underground cellar. Bam! Exclamation. The black-robed man was again spooked as he fell from his chair. Oh, Senior, could you please stop scaring the hell out of me? He pleaded in a begging tone. I'll try. Davis appeared silently. The black-robed man shook his head in frustration. Here, Senior. He handed a triangular dark red badge that had a dagger symbol on it. Davis took it and asked, aren't you going to confirm my kill? He had the dagger and Grimes's blood on it, which might serve as proof. Oh, that. I am sure that Senior wouldn't cheat with this inferior mission, and besides, we have our sources and informants. I see. Welcome to our Dark Earth Organization's branch. This way, please. The black-robed man activated a formation, and a curtain wall of the underground cellar disappeared magically. An illusionary formation. Davis commented on the wall, which disappeared as he looked at the narrow passageway. Yes, not only that, but the passageway is filled with offensive formations as well. The black-robed man replied proudly. Cough, by the way, my nickname is Yellow Bird 9. Senior can call me Yellow. Senior should soon decide a nickname to register as well. Davis nodded his head while thinking about a nickname. How about Pussy Destroyer 6-9? He thought of the names on the classic troll names on the internet as he smiled and shook his head. As they made their way through the narrow passage, they finally arrived in front of a door that can even defend up to attacks of third-stage experts. Naturally, it won't hold for a long time in front of those experts. Yellow opened the door with a triangular key, and they then went inside. Their vision suddenly became filled with a hall, big enough to accommodate more than 100 people. There was a reception counter and a huge number of posters on every side of the wall. These posters were missions ranked according to their difficulty. All of these missions were only Earth grade and mortal grade, as not a single sky grade mission was found. Davis scanned around the room with his eyes and saw many people, all of them dressed in black robes, wearing different types of masks, hoods, and all kinds of equipment that concealed their identities. He also saw those two black-robed silhouettes he met at the entrance earlier, as they wore a peculiar mask, having more presence than any other people here. Their aura was quite spooky, appearing to intimidate the people around them. As he gazed around, the others also stared at him with a measuring glint in their hardened eyes. Those two black-robed characters with peculiar masks only glanced at him before minding their own business, appearing as if they didn't care about a newbie like him. Davis and Yellow came in front of the reception. Yellow greeted the receptionist and told him about the recruit. The receptionist nodded and took out a jade crystal. Please record your nickname so that the headquarters can also get a copy of this jade crystal. Other procedures such as renewing your rank will be taken care of by us. Davis nodded and recorded his nickname in the jade crystal and gave it back. You are now officially a member of the dark organization, Dead End. The receptionist greeted. Oh, Senior is now called Dead End! Such a cool nickname that denotes when one meets Dead End, their life ends up being forfeit. Yellow shamelessly bootlicked like an obedient dog. You sure can bullshit. Davis rolled his eyes as he thought about the future. But that will be true soon enough. I'll come to the point. I want to take a sky-grade mission. Davis's hoarse voice echoed out. The surroundings went silent all of a sudden. After a second, there was full of murmurs and noise in the hall as they minded their own business as if nothing happened. This Dead End, you can only take those missions if you are a peak-level Earth-grade assassin, Yellow muttered while giving an apologizing look. Then give me a peak-level Earth-grade mission, Davis said calmly, not at all fazed by the weird and awkward looks thrown at him. This, I find, we will make an exception in respect to your strength, Dead End. Yellow took a chance at gaining a promotion while making it seem like he suffered a huge loss. Every member who is not an assassin, especially a recruiter, had a slot. If the person they recommended completed the mission, then they might be rewarded or promoted. But if the person one recommended failed, then that one will lose credibility and receive a punishment. They couldn't just recommend anyone if they aren't fairly confident about them. Then please choose a mission that is on that wall. The receptionist pointed in a direction. Davis then approached that wall, which was gold-plated. Various posters could be seen. He used his soul sense to scan all of them and excluded anything related to killing innocents, as he guessed these were all issued from sinister people anyway. After a moment of contemplation, he chose all the peak-level Earth-grade missions that involve people who deserve to die. There was a total of 5 missions he chose. From that, he picked one and handed it over to the receptionist. Mission Assassinate Harmon Type Assassination Grade Peak Level Earth Grade Mission Requirement High Level Earth Grade Assassin and above. Description: this person massacred a whole village near the Alfred Kingdom about 40 years ago. I don't know why he did it, but it looked like fun for him. I worked my whole life for issuing this mission, for someone to find and kill this person. His cultivation base is approximately at peak level Revolving Core Stage, peak level Iron Stage, mid-level Infant Soul Stage. Whereabouts are unknown but were last seen in the Alfred Kingdom. Target's image reward peak level Earth Grade Dark Organizations badge, 1,000 platinum coins. Mission issuer anonymous receiving the mission poster. The receptionist went wide-eyed while Yellow hurriedly explained. This mission, it's not possible to complete it in a few years. We have no clue where the target is, even with our intelligence network. Besides, the target trains in all 3 cultivation systems, which makes it all the harder to kill him disregarding the current whereabouts of the target. This target is even hard for our sky-grade assassins to kill, as he knows so many escape techniques in Art Psi. For that reason, this mission is still not yet completed, even though it was posted more than 10 years ago. Davis didn't reply while the receptionist kept looking at Davis. Then, I'll assign you to this mission. There are already 3 Sky-grade assassins, 7 peak-level Earth-grade assassins, and 2 high-level Earth-grade assassins working on this mission currently. Oh, can't I take multiple missions? You can take multiple mortal-grade missions, but not Earth-grade missions. For that, you need to be an Earth-grade assassin. The receptionist explained calmly. I knew it. Davis frowned and walked away with Yellow. So, who are those 2 assassins? Davis discreetly pointed at those 2 whom he met at the entrance today. Ah, they're Sky-grade assassins, most likely assigned to a Sky-grade mission, as they wouldn't bother to take a low-level mission unless they're injured. Yellow glanced at them and answered. Sky-grade assassins deployed here. Guess it must probably have to do with assassinating a powerful person. Davis guessed. Seeing Davis deep in thought, Yellow reassured. Don't worry, Senior Dead-End. You'll be able to do Sky-grade missions once you complete your current mission. Davis chuckled hoarsely and nodded his head wisely as if he were an old man. He then left. Well, aren't you in deep trouble now, Yellow? That person will not be able to complete this mission so soon, leaving you hanging in anxiety all year long, ha ha ha. The calm receptionist suddenly changed his tone and spoke in a teasing voice. Sigh, there's no way I can take it back. Leave me alone, all right? I'll just have to hope that he'll complete the mission at least before 10 years. Yellow sadly uttered, worried about his future. Yeah, keep dreaming, Yellow. The receptionist laughed as he mocked. Davis wasn't worried about finding Harmon, because Harmon would come to him with a single move. All he had to do was write his target's name in the death book while knowing their face, and the target will be dead in no time. Davis only needed to know the name and face of a person to kill him using the death book, albeit it had some limitations. Nevertheless, he needed Harmon's body to prove his death. Hence, while returning to the Imperial Castle, he thought of a plan and executed it immediately. Harmon, a sudden tells him to show up stealthily near the south gate of the royal capital in the Lorit Empire within 10 days. He stays in that place, searching for clues on what compelled him to show up at this place. If he hears the words, "You will be paralyzed," then his body will be paralyzed. He waits there until a certain person shows up to end his life. Davis smiled at these words and looked at the sky. Seeing that it was almost dawn, he returned to the Imperial Castle and safely entered his study without any hassle. Elia, I've returned. Has anything happened? Bang! Davis suddenly appeared in the study, alarming Elia. She leaped in shock and hit her head on the ceiling. He ruefully pursed his lips as he cast an apologetic gaze at her. Looks like I have to stop emerging behind people. Wah! Davis, you dummy, Elia yelled and then mumbled with a tearful expression on her face. Well, I'm sorry, I won't do it next time. So, did anything happen while I was away? Davis chuckled and asked. He was not at all feeling sorry but enjoyed bullying her. Other than the fact that you scared the life out of me, nothing important. Delia glared at him as she pouted. Oh, you are taking care of yourself. Keep up the good work. Davis patted her head. Elia evaded his gaze while still pouting. Right, don't forget to practice those battle techniques now and whenever you have the time. Elia gave him a noise of acceptance. The following 3 days, Davis stayed at the Imperial Castle to avoid suspicion during the day and went to the South Gate to spot Harmon at night. Unfortunately, Harmon still didn't appear. Davis guessed that he was probably on his way, so he wasn't impatient. Today was the 4th day. He planned to visit Evelyn a few days ago, so he sent word to the Calden family manor 2 days ago to them be prepared, although that wasn't his intent, but done for imperial reasons. This time, he was accompanied by Elia and the same elite royal guards who accompanied him last time. Davis arrived at the Calden family manor, which he tried to infiltrate 4 days ago. His goal was to make contact with Evelyn and somehow tell her to meet him at night. He knew that he and Evelyn would not be able to talk to their heart's content when surrounded by people, so he wanted her to meet him alone. He got off the carriage only to be greeted by a whole crowd of people who shouted, "We warmly welcome and pay our respects to the first prince." The whole crowd then systematically bowed. Davis was flabbergasted as he surveyed the scene. He was again reminded that he was a person of high status, being cooped up in the Imperial Castle all day long. Reading and learning about cultivation while cultivating left him a bit out of reality. "Raise your heads," Davis said with a calm face, and although he felt a little awkward, he didn't let it show on his face. Such bearings, truly a son of heaven so cute. Various murmurs echoed around, but it only made Davis want to hide in a hole. I only just acted, he thought ruefully. There was a limit to how much people could bootlick, right? Welcome, Crown Prince Davis. My name is Henry Calden, an elder of the Calden family. If you will, please let me show you around the Calden family manor. All right. Hands behind his back, holding his head straight, Davis replied. He then followed Henry Calden while Elia and Renard followed him. They arrived at a hall where many people were gathered. Many had looks of excitement, while some were gazing at him calmly. Davis didn't take heed to any of the reactions as he quickly got bored, but looked around to admire the architecture of the manor. He just sat down on a chair without greeting anybody here, while Elia and Renard stood behind him. Some people who didn't like his arrogance narrowed their eyes. They couldn't possibly question the crown prince, could they? Let me get to the point. I announced 2 days ago that I would personally visit Calden family, but my purpose here was to meet Miss Evelyn. So where is she? Davis scanned around and adopted an arrogant young master's attitude. Hearing that, some people were overjoyed while some others frowned. The people who were happy were all elders. They thought the crown prince was finally smitten with the beauty of their young mistress. They were afraid since a year ago when the prince said it was fine for her to back out of the marriage, especially after a year passed with no news of the imperial family saying anything about it. But it now looked like there was no need to think like that. All who frowned were young enough to make many mistakes. They didn't seem to like the tone of the haughty prince. Even though their family was using Evelyn like a tradable item, she was still immensely beautiful in their eyes. So some of them were jealous of giving her to him as a concubine, even though they don't have a chance to be with the young mistress of their family in the first place. Although most of them were Calden family members, some of them were not directly related, meaning they could marry each other as long as the elders accepted. Haha. The prince is sure eager to meet our young mistress. A random elder shook his head. She will be here soon. No need to fret, Crown Prince Davis. An old woman added in her robe, and she was also an elder. Davis nodded his head as he inwardly tried to measure their strengths. 1 or 2 of the elders definitely have a big presence. They must be at the 4th stage, maybe at the peak level he thought, while he felt the pressing need to appear forceful and arrogant. Otherwise, people wouldn't seriously consider his words, especially looking at his age and his childish, yet attractive face that perfectly suited a future silk pants image. A group of young people suddenly clamored. Everyone turned around their head to see a beautiful woman walking towards them, followed by a maidservant. Davis's jaw almost dropped, but his mouth was slightly agape. Damn, what a vixen! If a mosquito was present beside him, perhaps it would have a chance of going into his mouth. Evelyn looked like an enchantress with her seductive figure. She wore a bright purple sleeveless cheongsam, which accentuated her curves. Her cleavage was slightly visible as a triangular-shaped cut was present on her dress. Her long green hair reached her waist, and her side hair had been tied up in a small bun behind her head. Davis automatically stood up like a man who has been smitten and arrived in front of her to greet. I hope you've been well, Miss Evelyn. He clasped his hands. Prince Davis is too caring. I've been well from the time you left after seeing me last time. Bowing her head slightly, Evelyn responded with an indifferent voice. I see. Davis chuckled awkwardly. The way she said it, there seems to be a hidden meaning behind it. He slightly thought, though he couldn't tell if her meaning was positive or negative. After that, everyone took their seats on the dining tables, respectively, leaving the 2 who were engaged to their devices. Davis and Evelyn were seated opposite each other on the same table. There was a huge feast prepared for everyone to munch on, so they more or less only had their eyes on them while their mouths to the front. Miss Evelyn, today I came especially here to see you. Seeing that it was abnormally silent at their table, he started the conversation. See me? You flatter me, Prince Davis. Miss Evelyn still replied indifferently. However, when her luscious lips moved, it was as if a spell was cast on him. Yes, truth be told, I thought of you many times after that day we last met. Davis told the truth in all honesty, as he did think about her from time to time. Those peaks scoffed, that beautiful lazy eyes, and her seductive voice. The prince sure can joke around. Evelyn rolled her eyes as she said nonchalantly. Davis made a wry expression on his face. His compliments probing was done, and he now knew that he somehow made this woman angry. Time passed as the 2 finished eating in this awkward atmosphere. No one disturbed them, but they were just listening to their conversation silently. The 2 of them exchanged a few pleasantries from time to time, but the conversation didn't seem to be progressing anywhere, especially with Evelyn taking a defensive stance. Even an idiot can tell that she is angry with something. Did I offend her? When did I do that? Davis ruefully thought as he contemplated. He already thought of the matter where he left her alone for a year without giving any word, but surely she would not expect word from a child less than 10 years old, right? In fact, with all the work piled on him, he expected her to send him a letter or something, saying that she wants to decline the marriage or something, but nothing came to him. To him right now, she was not a priority, but to the future him where he wished for a family, she was a priority. That's why, until he stacked and built a certain amount of cultivation, he didn't go see her. Davis pondered for a while but couldn't find when he had made a mistake. Miss Evelyn, I can see that you are angry. If I had offended you for some reason, then I apologize. Let's forget about our status and have a fair talk for once, shall we? Evelyn widened her eyes in disbelief. She didn't think that this little kid would have the capacity to behave like a gentleman and give an apology. At least he has the capacity to think like an adult for his age, and for that, I guess I should be thankful. That's right, Evelyn. Why are you throwing a tantrum in for a child? Are you an idiot? She asked herself as she almost blushed in shame. How do the royal family even bring up a child like that? She felt that she didn't even have the level of mentality that Davis possessed. When she saw Davis at the hall, at that moment, she thought that she should release all her frustrations on him, which will make him cancel their engagement. Now, all that frustration that made her suffer seemed like her own misconceptions after he apologized. She managed to regain her bearings as she finally smiled. I'm also apologetic for making the Crown Prince worry for my sake just now, Davis, who saw that smile, became a bit mesmerized. Prince Davis. Evelyn saw that Davis suddenly froze while gazing at her. She asked with a bit of worry as she had slightly taken a liking to Davis. She thought that she might have somehow offended him slightly now. Davis woke up from his reverie as he decided on something. He placed his elbow on the table, interlocked his fingers, rested his chin on them as he smiled. You're too beautiful, Miss Evelyn. Badump! Her heart skipped a beat as she froze for a second before feeling content for some reason. You jest, Crown Prince. I am aware that I'm not that beautiful. Evelyn felt cheerful. Truth be told, Davis wasn't immune to beauty at all. Because he held back in his previous life, he wanted to live the fullest in this life and almost decided on this woman. He liked her and wanted to make her his if she liked him back, but he always has to take the first step as a man. I've got a gift that I wanted to present to you, Miss Evelyn. He took a chest out of his spatial ring as he said that. Evelyn stood up in shock as he didn't expect a gift. They both had stood up. He came close to her and opened the chest. Inside the chest was a peak Earth-grade pill, which emitted a unique fragrance. Isn't this the core expansion pill? A knowledgeable person nearby shouted once he saw the pill. Core expansion pill, the one that is said to be difficult to refine because of scarce materials. Another person asked in confusion. Yes, this is the core expansion pill, which is used for one to advance a level in revolving core stage, regardless of which level you are at. It can even increase the chances of one reaching the body transformation stage, hence the scarcity and rarity. Davis replied with a small grin on his face. Whoa! The surroundings clamored, becoming awed by the imperial family's wealth. They could produce peak Earth-grade pills too, but not gift them as easily as the royal family. Evelyn looked flabbergasted. What did I do to deserve this valuable gift? Could it be that he has truly taken a liking to me? Evelyn thought, but didn't move to take the core expansion pill. Even her called an emporium would not sell this easily if they managed to make or procure one. I insist, Davis said softly. Seeing that Evelyn still didn't take the chest from her, he pushed it to her as he closed in on her and whispered in her ear. In the chest, look below the pill holder after you're alone. Feeling his hot breath, Evelyn's eyes widened as she blushed visibly. Davis moved back and smiled at her. Since the prince insists, then I won't refuse. I thank the crown prince for his bountiful present. Evelyn slightly bowed as she held the chest. Her blush still didn't disappear, but she wasn't flustered. She only appeared more beautiful. She then took that chest into her spatial ring. Seeing the chest disappear, many cultivators in the revolving core stage, and even below, were extremely jealous, but they couldn't do anything about it. Then I bid farewell to you, Miss Evelyn. Davis turned around and continued with clasped hands. I thank the Calden family for the sumptuous feast. It was delicious. I'll take my leave now. He then left with Elia and Renard while they joined up with him as he left. Henry, who was an elder, and a few others, accompanied Davis until he reached the carriage. They spoke some pleasantries while trying to make a good impression on Davis. However, no matter what they said, Davis deflected them with his eloquent speaking that he was improving on from today. Without causing a ruckus, he then bid farewell again and left the manor. After some time, Calden family's manor, in Evelyn's room. Miss, why didn't you reject the gift? If you did, then I think that you would have made him so angry that he would have decided to cancel this marriage with you. Maisie, you sure can imagine. I don't think that level-headed child will fall for that trick. Besides, Evelyn said as she blushed but stopped midway. Anyway, Miss, please take out the core something pill for me to see quickly. Maisie acted spoiled in front of Evelyn. Their relationship was amicable and good since they were together since childhood. Hearing that, she suddenly remembered the words Davis whispered to her. Thinking of that unfair action of his made her blush a little again. No man or even a boy has ever gotten that close to her. She nodded and took out the chest from her space ring. She immediately opened it, was suddenly anxious to see what was underneath the pill. Whoa! This pill has a good scent. One sniff and I can tell that this enhances my energy condensation stage cultivation. Maisie took in deep sniffs as she felt intoxicated by the unique fragrance. Evelyn handed her over the pill and warned her, "Don't you dare eat it. I need it too." I know, he Maisie innocently laughed and took the pill from her hands as she returned to being intoxicated. Using this chance, Evelyn removed the pill holder in the chest and saw a letter and a jade crystal. A letter and a jade crystal which breaks when the other one is broken. She took out the letter and read it. "I want to talk to you alone, Miss Evelyn. Possibly during the night when no one is around and able to interfere with our decisions about the marriage. I know that you'll be watched during the night if you go out, so I want you to stay in the Calden Pill store these few days to avoid suspicion. I'll somehow sneak out and come to the Calden Pill store in these few days to meet you. I'll break the jade crystal signaling that I am in the Calden Pill store, so I hope you will be there as well at that time. He wants to meet me in the night, and alone." Indecent thoughts swirled around her head as she considered various possibilities. But as soon as she saw it was about the marriage, she calmed down. Well, a little boy would never be that devious, I guess. She contemplated for a moment before ordering, "Maisie, prepare a few things. We'll be staying in the Calden Pill store for a week. Also, inform my father about it as well." Okay, Maisie glanced at Evelyn for a moment before continuing to sniff, circulating her cultivation manual. "1 week, I'll wait for you for a week, Crown Prince Davis," Evelyn softly muttered as she stored the letter in her sleeve pocket. It was unknown what she had decided just now, but her gaze appeared curious and determined. Davis, who had returned to the Imperial Castle, couldn't wait to see Evelyn alone, as he now liked her to a certain degree than any woman he had seen in his previous life as a mortal. "In the study, Davis, what happened?" Elia asked Davis with a weird expression on her face. Nothing happened. No matter how I see it, you're smiling creepily from the time you entered the study. Don't tell me you have been seduced by that Vix, your future concubine." Elia almost screamed but held back at the last second. Only did Davis realize that he was smiling like a fool after checking his face. Have I been seduced? Or did I fall for her by myself? There is no way she could have seduced me. My soul is more powerful than hers. Davis thought as he slapped his cheeks. "It's not like that, but I think I have started to like her," Davis replied sheepishly. Didn't you say that you will release her from this marriage if she doesn't like you?" "I did say that, but now, if she said that she didn't like me, then I will just have to make her like me." "You're going to use unscrupulous means?" Elia had her eyes widened. "Hey, I never said that." Davis hit her head lightly while Elia pouted. "I won't do that, and she's not taken as far as I know. I'll try my best to win her heart since it is rare for me to like someone in the first place." Elia glanced at him complexly before as she asked, "What if you can't? Only time will tell," Davis said with a profound expression on his face. "What time will tell? You'll only bully her just like you bullied me?" Elia thought hatefully. She didn't know why, but she almost felt slighted. Night came as daylight hastened away. Davis snuck out smoothly as he was pretty used to this now. He made his way to the southern gate, hoping to spot Harmon again while using his soul sense to scan the area around him. "Fuck," he blurted out loudly as he could see many people fuck in their rooms, bathe in their restrooms. His soul sense was mostly concentrated on women for that moment, as if it was natural instinct before he quickly pulled back his soul sense. "Ah, my soul!" Davis held his glabella. "What the hell? Why didn't these people set up stronger formations around themselves? I can see them fucking around like dogs. Why didn't the novels I read mention this before?" Davis had every cell of his brain turn hostile to the authors of the web novels he read. He took a deep breath to calm himself down. This time, he used his soul sense to avoid the places where he last saw people acting indecently. His soul sense can extend up to 15 kilometers, while normal peak-level infant soul cultivators can only extend their soul sense up to 3 kilometers. This again proved that Davis had a very powerful soul. Since he was at the infant soul stage and had a soul comparable to young soul stage experts, he felt that he could truly summon his soul out of his body. And as a matter of fact, he did try to summon out his soul when he was in the mid-level infant soul stage, and he was able to summon it smoothly. However, when he summoned his soul out of his body, he realized that he couldn't control his body to his horror. He was dismayed for a second before calming down because it made sense that he was unable to control his body with his soul being outside. He then thought that he would be able to control his body after reaching a higher stage in soul forging cultivation. He tried performing some battle techniques in the soul form. Body tempering cultivation and its related techniques were totally useless in that form, as he was not able to cast them without circulating his energy through the relevant meridians. He could only unleash his soul-forging cultivation and a bit of essence-gathering cultivation. But the essence-gathering cultivation techniques he cast were weak, insignificant, and couldn't bring harm to another cultivator, so he realized that his soul form could only be used to escape in a life and death moment. Just when a few seconds passed, Davis's eyes lit up. He finally arrived. Davis became jubilant because he wouldn't have to waste his time while waiting for this target anymore. There was a shady silhouette in the alley, a few kilometers away from the southern gate. That silhouette looked as if it was searching for something or inspecting something. Davis knew that the silhouette was his target because his soul sense could penetrate the silhouette's concealment and disguise without even alerting it. Harmon would only find if Davis's probing was deep, like inspecting his body for a few seconds. Otherwise, he wouldn't feel a thing. This applies to almost all cultivators, and that's why powerful soul cultivators were deeply feared. Their ability to probe someone without that someone being able to notice the probers often left them paranoid, especially when they do something wrong or sneaky. Who would want their privacy to be invaded? Davis casually moved and headed to the alley where Harmon was at. After a few minutes, he arrived at that place silently. "What are you searching for?" Harmon, who was minding his own business, was startled. He quickly stretched his soul sense out and began to look around for the source of the voice. But to his astonishment, he couldn't find anyone with his high-level infant soul stage cultivation, even after probing. Suddenly, he felt his senses tingle, telling him to dodge. Without hesitation, he quickly dodged sideways. Splat! Blood gushed out of Harmon's neck and the side as he felt his neck corrode and burn. He immediately tried to suppress the rampaging energy, but to his surprise, he found out that he couldn't stop it even though the prowess of the essence energy running berserk inside him was of energy condensation stage. "What is this? Who are you?" Harmon shouted fearfully as he totally lost calm. He could instantly tell that his foe had a powerful soul-forging cultivation. Davis deactivated his dark, concealing shroud art. He still had his disguise on. "What is a vermin doing sneaking around the Imperial capital?" "Senior, are you one of the cultivators from the Imperial family? I guess we are fated, so there is no need to fight." Suddenly, Harmon's eyes abnormally glowed as he looked at Davis. What the hell is this person saying? Davis was confused but still had an indifferent expression. "Senior may not believe me, but I received divine intervention from the heavens to come to this place and wait for something or maybe someone. Since Senior is here, then it must be related to you." Harmon hurriedly explained. "Ah." Davis finally understood. "As I expected, it looks like the death book can even really whisper into one's soul and deceive them. Or did he believe himself to be a chosen one and got delusional? Since things were like this, Davis decided to play a little with Harmon's delusions before killing him for good. "Haha, this was just a test. If you had failed, then the heavens had commanded me to kill you." Davis laughed in a hoarse voice. "Then, did I pass?" Harmon asked doubtfully. "What do you think?" Davis approached closer to him. "Since I was chosen and have successfully dodged your move, then I can say that I have at least passed," Harmon deduced, but still took a step back while seeing Davis near him. He was still a little fearful of the pain. "Yes, you have successfully passed." Davis smiled. He was now in front of Harmon. "Really?" "Yes." Harmon clenched his fists in delight. He felt that the heavens weren't wrong and that his strength was going to leap soon in a short amount of time starting from now. Davis felt a bit idiotic himself to look at this cold-blooded idiot believe him with only a bit of doubt. How could it be like this? He snorted and tried to see how far the effect of the death book can influence the target. "But I don't think the heavens require your help anymore. So could you please die by killing yourself?" "What?" Harmon, who heard that, felt as if he had been thrown into a pit of despair. He couldn't believe what he heard, as he had just believed that he had received the grace of the heavens at this moment. However, this farce lasted just for a moment before he turned around without saying anything, trying to escape. "I see. It doesn't affect his personality if I don't write about that specifically, huh?" Davis thought as he inwardly chuckled. "Harmon, sadly, you cannot defy the will of the heavens. You will be paralyzed." Harmon, who tried to fly away with his revolving core stage cultivation, plummeted down the alley as he crashed. "What have you done to me?" He bellowed in confusion, but only incomprehensible words came out of his mouth. Then he sent him a soul transmission. "Oh, that. I said that you could not defy the will of the heavens, so you will obviously have to die." Davis casually replied. With the death book, his opponent had become totally confused and almost did not seem to know left from right. Spare me!" Davis stood in front of him and lifted him up as he grabbed his collars. "Huh, spare you? Why didn't you do that when you massacred a whole village? When you massacred dozens of villages, they should have said the same, no? No way. Even if I massacred, the heavens chose me. So how could I die? Harmon shouted with rage clouding his mind. Ah, now I get it. This person is twisted and probably broken somewhere. That kind of explains his massacring hobby. Davis thought as he shook his head, but hearing his self-confident delusional statement, Davis snapped, I don't know how trash-like you can think of the heavens helping you. Even if the heavens are neutral, they surely won't side with a scum like you who kills for no reason. Essence energy erupted as Davis used the silent erupting finger once more in conjunction with the first layer of extinction lightning judgment, lightning amplification. Stab exclamation his finger pierced into Harmon's chest before exploding with the power of his lightning essence energy. The extinction lightning started to corrode and burn his heart as well as all his internal organs as the lightning strands spread within him. Harmon's body convulsed on being electrocuted. He shouted in pain but wasn't able to move as he was paralyzed. He tried to escape using his soul, but before he could do that, a bright lance pierced his forehead and stabbed at his soul. Your fate is sealed, Davis stated as he held him up. That bright lance was the technique he had gotten from the second layer of sacred luminance mist, the piercing sacred lance. It was even rumored to have the power to exorcise ghosts effectively, but who knows whether if it was true or not. Harmon's eyes went wide and froze as his eyes abruptly lost their luster. He had unmistakably died at this moment. Davis didn't bother to waste his time. He swiftly absorbed Harmon's deceased soul and refined it using the death book, feeling his soul being rejuvenated. This amount 2 more peak-level infant soul stage souls, and I could probably break into young soul stage quickly. His face revealed a look of excitement before he calmed himself down. Davis then stored his corpse casually with a calm and indifferent face. He activated the dark concealing shroud art and made his way out of the alley. Just when he was traversing along the streets, he suddenly detected 2 more presences heading to the place where he was before. Davis narrowed his eyes. These 2 aren't they the 2 sky-grade assassins from before? What exactly are they here for? Could it be that they're going to kill a target in that direction, or are they leaving the imperial capital through the southern gate? Davis became curious, so he thought for a moment before he followed them stealthily. But after following those 2, he saw that they stopped at the alley where he was before, investigating for a while before returning in the direction of the Dark Earth Organization branch. Davis contemplated their actions for a moment again because he now possessed a vague doubt that it was because of his death book. Could it be because I wrote he waits there till a certain person shows up to end his life on the death book? So even if I hadn't made a move, he would have already died from getting killed by some other person. In this case, the death book somehow attracted those 2 assassins to get him killed, but before that could happen, I lied await and killed him. If that is so, then the death book is truly interesting. Davis grinned at the thought, but quickly calmed down. Then I will have to be extra careful on what I write on the death book, lest I bring trouble to myself. He sighed, thinking that this death book could even act as a double-edged sword if he wasn't careful. Davis then left the area, heading towards the Dark Earth Organization branch. Once he reached that place, he deactivated the dark concealing shroud art. He used the Dark Organization badge to temporarily deactivate the illusion formation in the underground cellar. He then used the badge again to open the door to the hall. In the Dark Earth Organization branch, main hall, Yellow, who was wallowing in sadness, suddenly saw Davis. He suddenly had a look of fear. "Senior Dead End!" he shouted and hurriedly ran to him. Davis heard that and headed towards him, calmly with hands behind his back. Is Senior here to withdraw from the mission? It might take a long time to find and kill him, but there is no need to withdraw for that reason, is there? I can wait for a long time for Senior to complete the mission. I can even wait afraid that Davis might withdraw from this mission. Yellow tried to come up with various kinds of reasons to not make him withdraw, but before he could bullshit, Davis stopped him as he raised his hand slightly. Senior, please, if you back out, then I will be punished as a result, Yellow anxiously pleaded. I have completed the mission, Davis said calmly. Senior, please don't withdraw from this mission. My life depends on it. Yellow looked like he was going to cry soon. Davis snapped his fingers. It made Yellow come out of his reverie and consequently turn the attention of the crowd towards him. I said that I had completed the peak-level Earth grade mission. Davis enunciated his words, causing Yellow's mouth to hang abruptly. Yellow's eyes went wide. He felt what Davis had said where the surrounding crowd were startled as well. They then looked at him as if he was an idiot. Seeing the looks of incomprehension on the people, Davis waved his hand. A corpse flew out and crashed into Yellow. Ward! Yellow yelped and saw the corpse's face. His face was one of horror before gradually turning into elation. This is Harmon. Yellow shouted out like an idiot. It was as if he obtained some treasure. Then, a voice startled Yellow. It was from Davis. Yes, yes. You have completed the mission. I'll just formally inform the receptionist, that's all. I'll get your badge and the reward soon. Yellow excitedly said and ran off. Davis waited there for a while, receiving looks of awe, astonishment, jealousy, and even other emotions. He then noticed that some people were approaching him. The two people were the two black-robed people from before. Davis entered a state of caution but didn't show it outside. Fellow assassin, are you the one who battled near the southern gate? The black-robed person asked in a hoarse voice. That voice made it difficult to determine the gender. Davis just stared at him before questioning them. Who are you two? Oh, it was bad of us to not introduce ourselves. I am Left Sky, and he is Right Sky. The other black-robed person replied. The gender of this voice was difficult to determine as well. Way to go, brother, you just revealed our gender! Right Sky complained, and now he knows that we are siblings. How many times have I told you to call me by my nickname during work? Left Sky rebutted. But he could have just struck that us of as good friends. He would have never known that we were twins. Right Sky shouted in anger. Hey! Hey! Davis shouted in confusion to stop them. Didn't these two just act cool before? Now, why are they revealing their traits one by one, or is it just an act? His shouting attracted those two, and they turned immediately embarrassed but didn't show it outside. What business do you have with me? Davis asked calmly. That is, seeing that you have completed a mission that is quite difficult to complete, we decided to invite you to this Sky-grade mission. Left Sky replied and took out a jade crystal. It was the type to hold information. Just before he gave out the jade crystal, a voice could be heard. Senior Dead End! Here is your Peak Earth Grade Dark Earth Organization's badge. Yellow came running like a 4-year-old child. It could be seen that he was really happy. He arrived in front of Davis and handed over the badge as well as the reward. Davis collected both the badge and the reward as he stored them in his space ring. Senior, you are now officially a Peak Earth Grade Assassin. Davis nodded his head indifferently as he turned to face Left Sky. Left Sky then gave out the scroll to Davis. Davis then opened the scroll. His expression was one of astonishment, then turned into an ironic smile. Mission: Abduct Davis, Laureate Type Abduction Grade, Low-Level Sky Grade Mission Requirement, Peak Level Earth Grade Assassin and above. Description: First Prince of the Laureate Empire, aged 9. Known to be protected by elite guards of the Empire at all times. His cultivation should be around the first stage of body tempering cultivation and essence gathering cultivation. His guard's cultivation should be around that of the third stage in both the body tempering cultivation and essence gathering cultivation. Sometimes he is under even the protection of his father, the Laureate Emperor. This month is the only chance to complete this mission without much difficulty. Targets image reward low-level Sky Grade Dark Organizations. Badge 4,000 purple coins. Mission issuer anonymous. What the actual FK? Did these two just invite me to abduct myself? Davis rolled his eyes. He would have laughed out loud if it were not for his calm-headedness. So Dead End, will you work with us or move alone? So far, what kind of information has you gathered about this mission? All normal ones. If you ask our informants, they will tell you. Davis took a moment to decide before answering. I'm not doing this mission.
What? Why?
Left Sky and Right Sky were both dumbfounded. Just when Davis tried to give some reason for his rejection, Yellow, who was on the side, hurriedly explained. Two seniors. It isn't that Senior Dead End rejected your request. It's just that Senior Dead End doesn't like this kind of job. Yellow sadly said. Nice job, Yellow. Davis gave a thumbs up to Yellow mentally. Davis chose safety and being incognito over having fun. He was sure if he had joined that mission, then he would have to kill those two and possibly others, which would have marked him suspicious if he had been the only one to remain alive. So he decided to kill them without acting the mission, as he can remain from any suspicion that might be possibly targeted at him after he had killed them. At the most, he would have been able to have fun if he had joined that mission by seeing the incredulous looks of the dying assassins when they finally know that they had been killed by the target whom they were planning to abduct. Oh, personal preference. Then leave it then, saying that the twin assassins left dejectedly. Right, leave that mission. We have other Sky-grade missions that might fit Senior's criteria. Let's go meet the receptionist for more information, Yellow said as he went off in a direction. Davis followed him and arrived in front of the reception. Congratulations on becoming a peak-level Earth-grade assassin, Dead End. The receptionist's tone was now favorable. Let me take a look at all the Sky-grade missions that you have, Davis said rather indifferently. With your rank, you can only see up to low-level Sky-grade missions, Dead End. Find the receptionist then pulled out a few jade crystals, which obviously had information on low-level sky-grade missions. Davis then probed the jade crystal with his soul sense. His expression changed into one of anger before he hit it quickly. In the jade crystals, there were also missions to abduct Clara, Diana, and even the newly born Edward. He had the urge to crush those jade crystals, but stopped himself from doing that. He could laugh it off when he saw his name in a mission, but he couldn't take it when he saw his siblings being targeted. Makes sense. If I am a target, then they are too. Teak! Wait, these are just low-level sky-grade missions. Maybe even Dad and Mom are listed in the higher-grade missions. Just who is the mission issuer? It might possibly be that Emperor Triter, or that Emperor Raven for all I know, damn it. Davis felt helpless right now. If he had known who was targeting them, then it will make it easier for him to kill whoever it was. He was not wary of famous people, he was only wary of people who hide their identities. With the death book, he could easily kill off famous people who were within his limits, but cannot do the same to people who hide their identities, as he would have to discover their identities first, which makes it a little difficult for him to kill them. He took a few seconds to calm himself down before probing into the jade crystals once again. He found some suitable missions for himself. If he was able to kill those targets, then he will be able to reach even the mid-level young soul stage sooner. After accepting multiple missions, he then left the Dark Earth Organization branch and headed off to kill a target. This target was a powerful merchant of the Lauret Empire who engages in shady business secretly. His age was over 200 years old, and his soul cultivation was that of low-level young soul stage. After Davis had used the death book to bait and kill him, it was almost dawn. He absorbed his deceased soul and refined it. He felt his soul energy increase rapidly as he absorbed the refined soul energy, and after a few minutes, he felt his soul energy fill reaching its limit. Just when he tried to break through, he encountered a bottleneck. Things won't be that simple, will it? Davis sighed. Seeing that it was late, he made his way to the royal castle. He decided that he would turn in the mission later tonight or tomorrow. 3 days passed in the blink of an eye. In these few days, Davis concentrated on his efforts to break through into the young soul stage. He turned in his target's corpse on the first day and got the low-level sky-grade Dark Earth Organization's badge and 1,000 purple coins as his reward. After this, he thought of visiting Evelyn before deciding to concentrate on his soul cultivation first. He felt confident in breaking through, so he stayed in seclusion in the royal castle as 3 days passed. In the evening, Davis, who was in seclusion, finally achieved low-level young soul stage. He could now feel his soul residing in his soul sea weirdly palpitate in resonance with the death book. He felt that his death book probably gained a new ability, but he wasn't in a hurry to find out, so he put the matter aside. He kind of felt immensely proud of himself for breaking through the bottleneck in 3 days before his thoughts quickly moved on to someone else. Yes, today night, I will finally visit Evelyn no matter what. Just as he made his way into the study, he saw Elia cultivating there with a peaceful expression on her face. She sat in a lotus position while focusing, but it just made her look cute. It almost made him want to pinch her face but decided not to, since her cultivation might go berserk if he had disturbed her. He just sat and watched her face with a smile on his face. He couldn't help but think her off as a cute animal. It even all the more made him want to pat her head. He hurriedly shook his head. This isn't right. I'm acting too close to her. It's almost as if we are siblings, he thought, a little disoriented. Davis unknowingly moved closer to her. He then looked at her face again. His face was at arm's length away from her face. This time his eyes involuntarily stopped at her lips. He couldn't help but feel an unknown emotion in his heart. Elia, who was cultivating, suddenly opened her eyes. She caught him staring at her lips as she felt her face burn up. Davis had seen her open her eyes, so he involuntarily made a sound. Damn, I got caught. Davis had a calm face outside, but his heart was beating slightly faster. He stood up and walked back whistling as if nothing happened. He then calmly left the study and headed to the library. Elia, who was seated there, clenched her fists in embarrassment. Her face still didn't stop burning up. What was that? What was he doing so close to my face? Why did he keep staring at me? Thoughts swirled around her head as she entered her own world of delusions. After that, she couldn't get into the mood to cultivate no matter how she tried. Davis, who was on his way to the library, chanted in his head, I'm not a lolicon. I'm not a lolicon. I'm not a lolicon. I'm not a lolicon. He kept chanting it as he noticed a slight problem in the lower part of his body. I've hit puberty. He thought wryly. He would have been happier at the fact that he had hit puberty, but the situation that he had found out in wanted to made him hide in a hole. He felt weird since morning, but as he was cultivating his soul, he put the matter at the back of his head, which now led to his embarrassment. Anyway, this is bad, and just when I am going to meet Evilly. Hope I don't make stupid decisions at her place. He felt that someone was playing with his life. He was determined to not let his lower part of the body influence his thoughts. Davis then arrived at the library to pass his time. He read some information on how to use his soul effectively and read about some miscellaneous information which could possibly be useful one day. Night finally arrived. For the first time, Davis felt that he had never waited so much in his life. He left the royal castle and made his way to the Calden Emporium. The Calden Emporium was still open. Cultivator shops are normally open during the night as well as they don't require much sleep, but are keen on their profits. Davis wore a black robe as he activated his dark concealing shroud art to conceal his aura, but not his presence. He then entered the Calden Emporium casually. The staff saw him come inside, but they didn't go disturb him since he was dressed in a black robe. Black-robed people usually conceal their identity and don't want to be disturbed unless they require some help, so they didn't opt to go near him. He then made his way to the Calden Pill Store straight away without taking any detour. Just when he entered the Calden Pill Store, he was greeted by the same young lady he met last time. "Dear customer, how may I help you?" Davis had a headache. He didn't want to reveal his voice or his disguised voice either. He just pointed at the pills kept in a shelf randomly. "Oh, what kind of pill do you like, senior?" He ignored her, went to grab the catalog that was placed on the desk near the entrance. The young lady got mad and started to ignore him as well as she went minding her own business. She only approached Davis to get acquainted and earn a sum from the commission if he bought something. Meanwhile, he used his soul to probe around the Calden Pill Store. He was confident that with his soul cultivation, no one could detect his probing here unless they had an adult soul stage expert hidden here. He got sight of Evelyn's location, so he broke the jade crystal silently when no one was looking. Evelyn, who was cultivating with all her mind in a room, was just about to swallow the pill which Davis gave in her mouth. She felt something break in her space ring. She got it out, and it was the pieces of the jade crystal. "He's here!" Evelyn's eyes went wide. He really came, but how? With all those guards assigned to him, he managed to sneak out. Or did he come with some other people? Evelyn had her doubts, but she quickly got up and headed to the hall of the Calden Pill Store. But she suddenly stopped right at the door of her room. "No, if I go receive him personally, then people will suspect us." She thought. "Miss, where are you going?" Maisie asked. "Maisie, go invite a certain person who is in the hall of our Calden Pill Store to my room." "But miss, who exactly should I invite?" Maisie asked in confusion. "I think," it contemplated for a moment before answering. "You just stand there in the main hall. That certain person will probably come to you." "This?" "Okay," Maisie replied in confusion before heading out herself. Davis, who was waiting there, was browsing the catalog as if he won't accept anyone's help, and he finally saw a young girl coming from a certain direction. He recognized her as Evelyn's servant. He then saw her being fidgety and looking around for some reason. "Is she possibly searching for me?" Davis thought. He closed the catalog and then approached her. It didn't take long for him to stand in front of her. Maisie, who saw the black-robed person, asked nervously, "Are you Davis?" Just nodded his head. He thought she was going to ask if she was Prince Davis, so he quickly nodded his head. He didn't know that she was just going to ask if he was the person her young miss wanted to invite. Maisie then nodded and said, "My young miss invited you to her room. Please follow me." She then left in a certain direction. Davis then followed her. He knew where she was going, but he couldn't just go alone. After a few minutes, they arrived in front of a door. She opened it while he went in. She then followed him inside. Suddenly, Davis and Evelyn, who saw each other, started chuckling together for no reason. Maisie, who saw this, couldn't understand. She could tell from the laughing voice that the other party was a male. Davis, who saw Evelyn smiling, did not waste time and got to the point, as he didn't know how long he could stay here. "Miss Evelyn, I've come to propose to you officially." Evelyn was startled. It was just as she thought. He liked her for some reason now. "No, young miss is already engaged. You can't propose to her," Maisie defended as she stood in front of Evelyn. They then both were startled. Davis looked at Evelyn only to see her laugh gently. "You finally came, my love," Evelyn said teasingly and winked at Davis. He got the underlying meaning in her wink. This woman really has guts and can keep her calm. She even dares to make misunderstandings and is a little playful. Davis thought but decided to not throw sand on her efforts. "Oh, my Evelyn, how long has it been till I last saw you?" He extended his hand, playing along. "It has been too long, my love." She took his hand, betting on the fact that he won't do anything to her. "Miss, You are having an affair. No way. Maisie, who saw this, got confused that she started pulling at her hair. They both then laughed together, seeing that she was tricked. Maisie got even more confused, so Davis finally stopped his act and removed his hood. You are that Prince Davis. Maisie almost blurted out, but she quickly held her tongue. Did this girl just call me a brat? Davis's eyes twitched. Evelyn just smiled at the sight. Davis, who also saw that, was thankful to Maisie for creating a good atmosphere. He didn't know how to create an atmosphere for her to comfortably talk with him. After all, he wasn't well versed in approaching women. Do you now get it? Maisie Evelyn asked her calmly. Yes, Maisie was embarrassed for her misunderstanding. Prince Davis, do you have another black robe? Evelyn asked. I do have, but for what? She didn't answer him but spoke to Maisie. Maisie, wear that black robe and wander around our Calden Emporium for some time. Here, wear this too. Evelyn removed her lid and gave it to Maisie. It had the power to conceal one's aura. Davis also took an unused black robe and gave it to her now that he had understood her plan. It was to act like him for a while. Maisie wore it and went out of the room. She now knew that they were meeting secretly. Now, Prince Davis, as you requested, we are all alone. Evelyn smiled. Alone. Seems like it. Davis probed around with his soul sense, so he knew that they were absolutely alone. But there was no need to send her out too. No, Maisie is talkative, so she will interfere with our conversation, which might possibly anger you, Your Highness. Then you have my thanks, Davis said as he nodded. It's my pleasure. Please sit down. Evelyn then sat at a table and he followed suit. Now that we are alone, are you not afraid that I will do anything to you? Davis grinned as he asked. Since she seemed like the playful type, he teased her. What can the prince possibly do to harm me? Maybe you have your guards outside the Calden Emporium. No. Oh, this woman thinks that I got here with an entourage. Well, I'm not going to correct her either, haha. Miss Evelyn sure is perceptive. This is only normal, Evelyn said as she poured a cup of tea for Davis. Davis took the tea and probed it. Seeing that there were nothing harmful in it, he drank. It doesn't hurt him to be cautious after all. Why? She asked. Suddenly, Davis spat out the tea at the side. He thought that she found out his probing of the tea. Why did you say that? Evelyn had a complex face when she asked that. She didn't mind spitting that action of his. Now Davis knew what she had asked. Cough, Miss Evelyn, I started liking you, so I am a little serious about this marriage. Davis replied truthfully, leaving aside why I'll ask when. When did you start liking me? Evelyn had her eyes narrowed, her gaze sharp. From the moment I met you, he said calmly. You're lying, she sighed. No, that is the truth, he strongly replied. Why does this feel like an interrogation? Davis had a vague doubt. Then why did you ask me to consider our marriage when we first met? She made a sound of dissatisfaction as she asked. Davis then said seriously, at that time, I felt that you were clearly against this marriage, so I spoke up, and now, she questioned again. Davis replied with a glint in his eyes now, I realize that I like you very much. So will you accept this proposal? Isn't that selfish? Evelyn laughed sarcastically. Yes, it is. I want you for myself, Davis replied shamelessly. You? What if I refuse? She narrowed her eyes again. Then, I can only work hard to change. I am sure that I will somehow make you like me, he grinned as he said. After a few moments of tension and silence, Evelyn unknowingly, visibly relaxed. This woman, she's acting tough. Is she treating me as an adult? No, she is treating me as her future. Makes sense that she is this serious about it. Davis was watching her every expression to find out what she was thinking, and he could only rely on his perception to do so. Davis then sighed. If only Clara were here, it would be way easy to hold an advantage in a conversation. But in this case, I can see her ruining this marriage 100%. Secretly laughed to himself. Cough so. What is your answer? Miss Evelyn, there's no way I can give it so soon, not without knowing much about you. Evelyn glared at his shamelessness, but somehow she liked his straightforwardness. Maybe because he is cute, she thought. You have a point. I wish to know more about you as well. If we have the opportunity, then we'll tour around the royal capital one day. Davis nodded. She never expected him to invite her to take her out, so it kind of came as a surprise for her as she fell silent. The atmosphere in the room again got silent and awkward. Ha, I wonder what cultivation level has Miss Evelyn reached? Davis randomly asked a question. Nothing that can catch your eye. Suddenly, her voice changed to an icy tone. Oi, it's not like I asked your weight. Davis's eye twitched. Seeing that he chanced upon a bad topic, he tried to say something. He quickly then glanced around to search for a topic and said to her, I guess I disturbed Miss Evelyn's cultivation session. It's no wonder that you are angry with me for asking about your cultivation, Davis said with an all-knowing tone, but he then later panicked as he realized that this was also a topic concerning her cultivation. What perception? Evelyn thought, her eyes wide. but he already knew that she was cultivating when he probed around with his soul sense when he first came here. But hearing his tone, something in Evelyn finally snapped. You just want to know my cultivation stage, don't you? In fact, you already know it, right? Do you want to make fun of me as well? All right, I have only reached peak level copper stage, peak level energy condensation stage. Miserable, right? At my age, with my status, I should have at least reached the third stage in both by now. Go ahead and laugh. Laugh all you want. She had tears forming in her eyes. She waved her hands as she said that, with a livid expression on her face as if she had been wronged. What young mistress of the Calden family? What I am blessed to be married to the prince. Does my opinion even matter in my family? I am just outright being sold off to you. Tears dropped like a fountain from her eyes as she looked at him with grievance in her eyes. Davis was extremely dumbfounded. One moment she acted mischievously, another moment she acted tough, and another moment she cried. He couldn't say if it was acting or not, but seeing her cry, he felt sad for some reason. He didn't have a deep relationship with her. He felt that any consolation at this point would just feel like a formality. Davis looked at her with a complex expression and said comfortingly, "You've worked hard." Evelyn froze. He just left her with that sentence, as remaining here shamelessly would make her even more embarrassed. All those years she tried so hard to cultivate, even though her talent was subpar at best. She would cultivate day and night, sometimes even without resting for a month. Compared to many geniuses, her talent was trash. If she wasn't the family head's daughter, then she would not even be a respected member of her family. With her looks, at best she would have been sold off to someone in the name of marriage. No one had acknowledged her hard work other than Maisie. Almost everyone looked at her like an object to increase the status of their family. At that moment, she truly felt content and acknowledged as she cried out her grievances. On the way to the royal castle, Davis felt truly bad. He believed that he had made her cry. He felt like he shouldn't have acted selfish, like an a-hole. He didn't know that her cultivation was her sore spot. If he had known, then he wouldn't have dared to ask. Now he realized that woman was putting up a front in front of everybody, all the while she bears a huge burden in her heart. From this, he even could tell that she had an inferiority complex about her talent and cultivation. Is it too bad to be a little forceful? He thought as he shook his head. He wanted to make her his, so he pushed her a bit in courting her. Was it wrong? But what he didn't know was that sentence he uttered had helped him increase his impression on her to the next level. Midway, he suddenly stopped. Damn it, I don't feel good. He got angry and took out a jade crystal. Sorry, looks like your death date is moved today. He thought coldly as he headed to assassinate the target. Originally, he planned to kill them from tomorrow, but decided to take his anger out on them today. Davis, like before, baited and killed the target while also getting some combat experience. He also implemented a fail-safe plan in case his target tried to escape just like before. After he had successfully assassinated the target and absorbed the deceased soul, he felt getting one step closer to the next level in soul cultivation. He believed that he could make his soul cultivation experience leaps and bounds as long as he had the death book and the appropriate souls. He then made his way back to the royal castle as it was almost dawn. Days passed as he went on killing his targets one by one. Soon, he almost became a legend in the Dark organization for his efficiency and credibility for killing his targets. He felt like he couldn't talk with Evelyn because he felt awkward to see her once again. Still, he wanted to talk once after that, but he just couldn't find her because she went back to her manor. 20 days passed as he killed off 8 low-level sky-grade mission targets. Almost 4 of them had low-level young soul stage cultivation, while the others had peak-level infant soul stage cultivation. During these 20 days, he found no one targeting him or his siblings all night as an assassin, so he failed to finish off any sky-grade cultivators who might possibly come after them. He felt that this was strange since this was the perfect opportunity to target him and his siblings since Logan was out of the royal capital. He had also tried to find out what was the new ability of the Death Book, but he couldn't discover it to no avail. He almost doubted whether if his Death Book had been granted a new ability or not, also whether if it had stopped evolving or not. Regardless, he successfully achieved mid-level young soul stage after the ruthless execution that he had performed. He then increased his cultivation to peak-level iron stage and peak-level energy condensation stage. From the execution performed and the number of souls he absorbed, he understood that he needed the soul of at least 5 mid-level young soul stage experts to advance to the next level. Fortunately, his Death Book was extremely helpful in that regard, so he didn't need to worry about it. The royal capital was in a panic as powerful figures, famous for their wealth, kept dying one by one. Those powerful people were none other than the targets Davis had killed without any mercy. So he was not in fear at all, but that can't be said to be the same as other people. Davis understood that his actions were of tantamount to declaring war against evil people and organizations, but he did it anyway, as no one would be able to find his identity unless they were to bring in some adult soul stage cultivators. He also understood that his actions attracted his father indirectly, as his father was the emperor. This made his father leave a little sooner from the Alfred Kingdom. Logan was on his way to the royal capital after he had heard about a powerful assassin known as Dead End, who always kills his target without fail. But he was not anxious because he did his homework and knew that Dead End's targets were all scums and degenerates and definitely wouldn't be his family, so Logan was worried but not anxious. He was worried that the strength of the royal capital would further decline as powerful cultivators would leave, fearing the assassin, regardless if they were degenerates or not. So he left a little sooner to put a stop to this assassin known as Dead End, even though he felt a little thankful to him for clearing the royal capital of vermin. The world welcomed Dawn. Davis, who had just returned from his hunt, knew that he wouldn't be able to sneak out anymore due to his father coming home sometime today. He headed to the study to finally take some rest, even sleep. He felt kind of exhausted for not sleeping for more than 20 days. He went hunting, cultivated all 3 cultivation systems, which took a huge toll on his body because he wanted to improve as much as possible before his father returned. Cultivators don't need that much sleep, but it is still a process that one enjoys, so even cultivators have the habit of sleeping from time to time because it helps them relax. Ah, damn, I'm so exhausted. A night of good sleep will rejuvenate me even though it was almost morning. Cultivators didn't care when they slept. Just as he opened the door to the study, he saw Aaliyah. Lightning cracked as sparks of electric currents swirled around Elia. She was seated in a lotus position with a serious expression painting her face. She's breaking through to the next stage. Very good. Davis had a happy expression on his face. A few minutes passed before the lightning which sparkled around her subsided and her face returned to a calm expression. Then when she checked her cultivation, her expression was one of elation. Davis smiled as he said, Elia, congratulations on breaking through the energy condensation stage. She nodded her head, still in elation. Suddenly, a powerful soul sense probed the royal castle. Oh, looks like Dad is back. Davis was startled before he recognized the soul sense's aura. Even though Davis was just in mid-level young soul stage, he could detect being probed by a low-level adult soul stage cultivator. He could even probably detect probing from a mid-level adult soul stage cultivator since his soul is so powerful. Davis was sure that he can fight his dad equally if they just fought with their soul cultivation. The Emperor is... Elia widened her eyes. Davis rubbed his chin as he spoke. Yes, and it looks like that we got caught. Elia's face turned pale.